Let's talk about the Bengals. They have the third easiest strength of schedule heading into the season. Every other team in their division changed coaches. Is it Super Bowl or bust for Joe Burrow?
Absolutely. If not now, then when? I mean, you saw how active the Bengals were in free agency and the draft and addressing the defense. That's been the area that's been a nuisance to the Cincinnati Bengals. And if Joe Burrow stays healthy, this is a team that absolutely should contend in the AFC.
Nuisance is an excellent choice of words. Nick.
Yeah. This is actually a pretty straightforward conversation for me. I've downplayed the strength of schedule for many teams and then kind of broke that down. And I stand by all of that. And this might almost sound contradictory, but hopefully I explain it in a way that makes sense. The Bengals, for whatever reason, whether it's because of injuries, whether because of defense, O-line, coaching, they haven't been the most resilient team. They haven't been the most resilient team. We've seen questionable starts, right? Questionable losses, etc., etc., etc. But regardless of the season, as long as Joe Burrow's there, and the team is relatively healthy, right? It's the players who you expect to see on the field are on the field, even if it doesn't work out the way they want it to, the Bengals get to work. Like even in their losses. Their loss to the Chiefs in 2024, both games against the Ravens in 2024, the loss against the Bills in 2025 and like this though the snow game, I think it was a snow game. It's like they're ready to compete. They are ready to compete, and they are a team. 'Cause I have a whole thing where I'm just like, listen, if you're a great team, you're a great team. And so it doesn't matter what the strength of schedule ultimately ends up being. But because of the way how the Bengals have been in the past, it's like out of all the teams that I think that a strength of schedule could actually genuinely help them, because I think if a strength of schedule, like if you're not as great of a team and the strength of schedule kind of artificially makes you look a little bit better than you actually are, I think like the exception to this a little bit is the Cincinnati Bengals, because they are put it this way, the Dallas Cowboys I remember a couple years ago, it was just last year, they said, oh, if they make the playoffs they'll be the most dangerous team. And then in 2024, people kind of had that conversation about the Bengals. I'm like, oh, or do the Chiefs want to, duck the Bengals and whatnot? And it's just like we kind of, everyone kind of like laughed at the idea of like, should you feel that way, should you not, etc., etc. And I was like, no way for the Cowboys in 25, never felt that way. But for the Bengals, yes, definitely. And I really think that the Bengals, considering who they have in the team that they've been, that if they can just get into the playoffs, they are just absolutely positive. I don't care how the season has unfolded. I don't care what their record ends up being. I don't care how up and down, left and right, what the story is. It's like, in the playoffs, you absolutely positively do not want to face Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. You just don't want it. I don't care what it is, even if their defense is still averaging giving up 30 points a game. Because in any given moment, Joe Burrow can absolutely positively torch you. And if there's any team and any quarterback that can just rip off 3-4 wins in a row, it would be the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. So like a strength of schedule here, and again, I haven't dove in too deeply into what is truly making a strength of schedule. Like, what's the 18th strength rating? It's like, my suspicion is that like it's one of those things where it's like the difference of a couple games that's either swinging a team to like the top of the hardest strength of schedule or at the bottom. Like I think it's a lot more narrow than meets the eyes. I think in years past, the strength of schedule was like, oh, wow, you're playing the Jets and you're playing the Panthers and you're playing and it was like, okay, that's a lot of easy games to go through. I don't think that's necessarily the case right now, just based on my own outlook on how the NFL is right now in terms of just, the distribution of quality of teams in the NFL. So, I do think that if the strength of schedule actually holds up, that the Bengals do have an easier strength of schedule, then this puts them in such an incredible position to be like absolute bona fide top of the AFC, let's get out, let's get after it. Now, to be clear, it's like I think in theory, and I told you guys this also before, like I am the most optimistic about the Bengals than I've been pretty much ever. So, like I am extremely excited to see what this looks like. But I still bake in the Bengals needing a little bit of help. Like there's other teams where I'm just like, strength of schedule doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter, no excuses, right? You're either great or you're not. Los Angeles Rams, I don't care what your strength of schedule is. Are you an elite team? Are you a top team in the NFL? Yes or no? I don't want to hear about strength of schedule, right? For the Bengals, I leave that door open for them. I do care a little bit more, and it does just kind of open things up. And I do think that when you're a quality team, when you're organized and you have, at the bare minimum like a great offense, then sure, a strength of schedule can really help you. Now, you're maybe winning the division, maybe you get a home field advantage game, you're in the playoffs just in general, you're in position to do damage. You're absolutely in position to do damage. There are certain teams and certain quarterbacks, and I'll end here, that they can find themselves in the playoffs, and you're kind of just like, okay, like maybe they could be competitive, maybe they can win a playoff game, right? We all know those games like the Carolina Panthers. I don't think many people had them last year winning a Super Bowl, right? But they were like, okay, like maybe they could beat the Rams. It'll be an interesting wild card round, they're at home, they already beat the Rams, right? Like you were like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Same thing with the team like the Steelers. I'm trying to think of any other, recent examples. The 49ers and then stuff. So, it's like you see those teams where you're like, hey, this would be kind of interesting, they get in the playoffs, what can happen? Can they, can they get out of the wild card round? Can they be competitive in the divisional round? Like what's the story here? And I just think that ultimately the take about the Bengals, no matter what season it's really been, honestly, it's just like no matter what their record looks like, no matter what they've looked like, their quality of team, with the offense that they've been able to have over these years, it's just like even if they shared the identical qualities to some of those teams where you're just like, oh yeah, it'd be cool, maybe they can, win the wild card round, be competitive in the divisional round, like they're in a different category. And they automatically to me are like they're absolutely on board to be the Super Bowl content, to be in the Super Bowl. Like it's like I don't have to be like, well, I don't know, because they're going to have to go up against, the Chiefs, the Bills, the whatever team you want to use. It's just like, well, if anyone's going to be able to torch them, if anyone's going to be able to win in the final 2 minutes and 35 seconds of a game, it's going to be Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Like I still very much have that confidence, have that faith, and feel that threat, and feel that danger. Even though it obviously hasn't worked out for them over these years, but it's still like I'm not going to waver from that in a way that like I wasn't looking at say the Pittsburgh Steelers last year through that lens or looking at the Carolina Panthers through that like not even close, right? Not even close. So again, to really double down on this analogy or this comparison, the Panthers made the playoffs and the Bengals didn't. If the Bengals made the playoffs, I'm having 100% more confidence that they are going to win multiple playoff games than the Carolina Panthers were, right? And yet the Carolina Panthers actually made the playoffs and the Cincinnati Bengals did not. And it's just like that line, it's not a thin line. It's thick, right? It is right down the middle. And so that is the power that the Bengals have. That is the position that the Bengals are in. So, if they can string together wins, they can take advantage of a light schedule, within a absolutely positively in a blink of the eye could be top 1, top 2 team in the NFL. Without a doubt, playoffs, home field advantage, and it's like, okay, baby, let's go. And especially if they lock up again, I haven't looked into the schedule too much yet, but like they get the number 1 seed and they get a first round by now. They just got to win one game to get to the AFC Championship game. It's like that is incredibly threatening and incredibly scary. Even if you feel like, well, the Bengals were only there because they have an easy schedule. Right? Kind of similar to what people were saying about the New England Patriots, and it's like, really, the better team is actually, I'm just making stuff up here, the Broncos or the Jags. And it's just like, doesn't matter. Yes, maybe in years past or teams past we could say, yeah, this team has definitely benefited from the schedule. It doesn't matter. You still got to go through Joe Burrow right now. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I would totally be resistant to the idea of like, yeah. And I would, and it would be an interesting conversation to have. It would be a really interesting conversation to have. But I think there are certain exceptions to the rules and certain nuances, to kind of look at. And that to me is where the Cincinnati Bengals are with Joe Burrow. So, it's just like Joe Burrow and the Bengals should be contenders in AFC. If not now, when? Combine that with the strength of schedule, it's like they are contenders. Boom. Done. Lock it down. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love tea. Oh, hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Cincinnati Bengals? Do you understand what I'm saying in terms of like they're really kind of the definition of a team of just like as long as they got a chance, then they have a big chance, right? Like it's a bigger opportunity than some of the other teams that are maybe in a similar circumstance to them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next.